Throughout the month of July, you'll be able to watch exciting new horror films with the Fear Street Trilogy. 3 films that blend together centuries of scares in a haunted town for one thrilling tale. And there are plenty of other scary movie options available to stream as well. From twisty thrillers to eerie sci-fi stories to films that will make you question your own reality. So, to help guide your spooky movie marathon, here's a look at some of the best horror gems that you need to watch at least once. The haunted house genre gets some fresh lifeblood in 2020's His House. The film follows a couple from war-torn Sudan who make a perilous journey to seek refuge in England. After they're assigned to a rundown government home, they realize that they're not the only ones living in the house. In fact, there are sinister spirits that surround them at every turn. And though they've both faced evil before, they've never dealt with anything quite like this. The couple will have to face the demons of the world and in their own hearts if they ever hope to make their new house a home. With stunningly creepy visuals and richly developed characters, His House will crawl right under your skin and stay there. The horrors of hunger have never been clearer than in The Platform. This 2019 Spanish thriller sees its protagonist, Goreng, volunteering to participate in a social science experiment that involves him living alongside a cellmate in a prison-like tower. Each day, a single platform of food is lowered from floor to floor for just a brief period of time. Those at the top of the structure gorge themselves, leaving only scraps and bones for the residents of progressively lower levels. It's an electrifyingly tense thriller with a lot to say about humanity. With each twist in the plot, the stakes of this torturous system only get worse. The Platform is not for those with weak stomachs, but it's the kind of movie that sticks with you long after the credits roll. It doesn't take any jump scares or boogeymen for the killing of a sacred deer to frighten the daylights out of you. Yorgos Lanthimos' celebrated 2017 thriller follows a cardiologist who's forced to confront a terrible part of his past once his family begins to suffer the consequences of his misdeeds. In the film, Dr. Stephen Murphy befriends a teen named Martin Lang, whose late father was Stephen's patient until his untimely death. However, Martin's presence in Stephen's life becomes much more menacing once his true intentions are revealed. Martin is no mustache-twirling villain. His matter-of-fact demeanor and the quiet, methodical way in which he ingratiates himself into Stephen's life is completely unnerving. You'll just have to watch it to see how. Ordinarily, you might not expect a simple, overgrown field to become the stuff of nightmares. But in this adaptation of Stephen King and Joe Hill's 2019 novella In the Tall Grass, the fury of nature is next level. The film starts with a brother and sister who pause their cross-country trip and step into a patch of grasslands after hearing a young boy calling out for help. It doesn't take them very long to figure out that they're trapped in a hellish maze where time and space operate differently than the real world. With an increasingly eerie atmosphere and a mind-bending plot twist, In the Tall Grass is a terrifying trip from the king of horror. Group video chats may be more commonplace than ever right now, but when Unfriended first dropped in 2014, it was still a relatively novel concept. So the film was ahead of its time when it turned a friendly internet meeting into a terrifying vengeance tour. In the film, a group of friends link up online to chat about their plans for prom night. They discover that there's a mysterious guest in the chat who can't be blocked. And that's when things really begin to spin out of control. As they try to identify the intruder, the teens are confronted with their darkest deeds before they are themselves subjected to a series of horrors that play out on each other's screens. With its uniquely 21st century premise and creepy creative camera work, Unfriended is a thriller for the digital age. If you've ever set foot in a well-designed escape room, you might be familiar with the eerie sense of dread that sets in when you realize you've just allowed yourself to be locked away with total strangers and a mysterious host. But if you haven't gotten to experience that spine-tingling sense of discomfort before, well, 2018's No Escape Room might just do the trick.
This isn't going to be really scary, is it?
No, this is going to be fun.
The film features a father-daughter duo on a mini road trip that leaves them stranded in a small town. As they wait for the repairs to be completed, they decide to spend the day visiting a local escape room. And it doesn't take long for the game to become anything but fun for the pair and their fellow players. With its alarming setting, paranormal bent, and terrifying twists, No Escape Room will definitely leave you questioning whether you ever want to try out a new escape room ever again. Visionary horror director Mike Flanagan brought the concept of a living nightmare to new levels in 2016's Before I Wake. The movie centers on a pair of young, grieving parents who decide to foster an orphaned boy after losing their own beloved son in an accident. The couple immediately discovers that the child they've taken in, Cody, is a very special kid, for better and for worse. Shortly after he's moved in, they find their house filled with the manifestations of Cody's dreams. But those dreams aren't always so pleasant. His nightmares become just as real, bringing untold dangers to the waking realm. What results is a thrilling and terrifying adventure through the surreal wanderings of the unique boy's mind, grounded by the struggle of two parents trying to get past their own loss. Halloween is meant to be a spooky occasion, but it's even scarier when spent inside a haunted house that forces its visitors to play a very wicked game. In the 2017 film Truth or Dare, a group of 8 friends decide to spend their holiday evening at a mansion that was once the site of some grisly deaths. At first they think they're in for a night of spooky fun, but once the games really begin, they realize precisely why this building has such a sinister history. Even after they leave the mansion, the horrors of the house follow them. One by one, they must complete some painful tasks to finish the gruesome game if they hope to make it out alive. And along the way, the dares reveal some terrible truths about each of these characters. Be sure to check out this hidden horror gem if you dare. Popularity contests might usually be reserved for high school superlatives and political elections. But in the 2015 sci-fi horror circle, winning over a crowd is a matter of life or death. The film picks up with 50 people trapped in a room where they can't move off their respective markers or even touch one another without activating a lethal laser system.
Don't move. They can see us.
And what's worse is that every 2 minutes, a person is summarily executed by the machine at the center of them all. And the power to decide who's next on the chopping block is literally within their own hands. As the bodies start to stack up, the people inside the circle have to use their wits to determine what exactly is happening to them and whether it's even possible to stop it. On top of its tight and terrifying framework, Circle also offers some intriguing commentary on social factions, deception, and the choices that are made about a person's individual value. In 2018's Await Further Instructions, a family reunion for Christmas descends into a horror show. The Milgrams aren't a particularly functional family from the start, and their differences are pushed to the breaking point when they wake up to find every door and window has been sealed shut by an impenetrable material. Their only means of communication with the outside is a television screen that doles out increasingly chilling instructions. Not knowing whether they're being sheltered from an attack or being attacked themselves, the family's already tense dynamic spirals out of control. As they race to uncover the secret of their isolation, the Milgram family will also face a few horrors of their own making. It's a claustrophobic thrill ride anchored by a whip-smart script and some genuinely terrifying moments. In the 2020 sci-fi thriller The Block Island Sound, a small fishing town suddenly becomes the epicenter of unnatural occurrences. Thousands of fish wash up on shore, birds fall from the sky en masse, and some sinister force off the coast seems to be causing the locals to lose their minds. After a fisherman suffers from mental collapse and then disappears into the sea, his adult children must uncover the secrets of his unraveling, just as another seems to be sinking into the same affliction. If you're looking for a film that's dripping with dread, The Block Island Sound is a must-see. putting a group of strangers together in tight quarters during a high-stress situation. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out, a lot could go wrong, as you'll see by watching the 2017 Spanish-language thriller, The Bar. The film begins with an eclectic group of people wandering into a crowded Madrid bar during breakfast time, just as the world outside seemingly collapses in chaos. Anyone who tries to leave gets killed. It doesn't take long for the blame game to begin, and factions emerge among the group as they struggle to understand what's happening. Not only is this intense thriller a fun film to watch, but it'll definitely leave its audience playing the what-if game right along with the characters. 2016's I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House picks up at the twilight of a successful author named Iris Blum's life, when a young woman named Lily is hired to help care for her at her sprawling Massachusetts mansion. After strange things begin happening at Iris's home, Lily starts to realize that there's a dark connection between this place and one of Iris's most beloved books. With slowly smoldering tension and artistic cinematography, not to mention fantastic performances from everyone in the cast, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House is the perfect horror film for a dark night. It might sound like a dream come true to meet a handsome European stranger while backpacking through Berlin, but for Claire Havel, one night of romance turns into an endless stint of horror after her lover, Andy, decides to extend her visit with him indefinitely without her permission. Turns out their meeting didn't happen by chance. Andy planned ahead before luring Claire back to his isolated apartment, which he's engineered to be the perfect prison. That kicks off a high-stakes battle of wits between the two that doesn't go the way you'd expect. With shrewd cast performances, psychological terror, and some majorly unexpected twists, Berlin Syndrome is a truly tense watch. Don't let the title of this film fool you. This 2019 survival thriller is anything but warm and fuzzy. Sweetheart follows a young woman named Jennifer who finds herself stranded on a remote island after a storm has capsized her boat. And unfortunately for Jen, that's the high point of her misadventures at sea. Soon, Jen discovers that she's definitely not alone on this island after a horrifying monster crawls out of its ocean lair and pays her a visit at night. With an immaculate pace and a blood-curdling Lovecraftian monster driving the terror, Sweetheart is the perfect thriller for the summer season. Thanks for watching. Click the links in our video to watch more from Netflix Film Club. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest exclusive videos. Plus, hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.